All right, everybody, it's your questions answered day. All right, my name is Dave. I teach people how to play the saxophone. Welcome aboard. I specialize in beginning sax students, intermediate sax students. Of course, if you're advanced, come on. But of all ages, basic experience level, coming back to the horn, just bucket list, you just got one. You're welcome here. Please hit subscribe and like. I keep forgetting to ask you to do that, and YouTube keeps reminding me that I keep forgetting to ask you to do that. I wrote a very short book, learning how to improvise one note at a time, and I'd love to give you a free upload of that. If you want to, in fact, I'll put the way to connect with me in the comments below. All right, and you send me, your information, and I will upload that to you in the next couple of days. It's very brief. Again, book is kind of, maybe an over-exaggeration, but I think if you're just beginning to improvise, getting going on that process, I think this will help you, the beginner, okay? All right. And if you have any other questions that you'd like to ask me, put those in the comments below, and I will get to them in the next video, which we answer questions. So without further ado, let's jump in here. I'm going to slaughter this name, and I apologize profusely. Aitor? A-I-T-O-R is how the name is spelled. Friends at home, you figure it out. He wants to know about my setup, what kind of horn I play, mouthpiece, reed, and all that business. And that's a great question. For those of you who are old hands here, you know that I play a Con 6M. And the Con 6Ms were made in Elkhart, Indiana, right here in the good old USA, for a very, very long run. I think it extended up till 1968 or 9, and I think the actual 6M, I think, emerged in the 30s. There were predecessors. It was the New Wonder, the Chewberry, and we're not going to get into that. This is a 6M, and I was just absolutely blessed to have this horn. I love it. It works for me. Yes, it has some weird ergonomic issues, meaning, the keys are not necessarily the easiest to navigate. And it does have some inherent intonation issues. One of the things that it has is this micro tuner. This little knob here at the end, cork just like you have. Aitor. I'm sorry, I'm going to mess your name up all the way through this, so we'll just have to deal with it. Anyway, this is a micro tuner, and it moves the device on the inside of the neck to either sharpen or flatten your tone. The neck is really kind of a piece of work here. It's very heavy duty, and it's got a double barrel. I don't know if you can see that. In the light good there, can you see there's actually a fitting on the inside of this housing? And then we have the underslung octave key. Say that fast 11 times. Underslung octave key. The Con 6M is sometimes called the Naked Lady. You see her? See her little face right there? I'll put my finger right next to where she is. There she is right there. My naked lady is not very naked. She looks, in fact, to be clothed. And it tries as hard as I may. I have not really found why the engravers put her on the 6Ms. I have no idea why there's the naked lady. But anyway, it was one of the names that this horn became known for, the 6M. Mine was made in the 1946-47 season, 1946-1947, and history tells us that is when Con in Elkhart, Indiana, they had a union. There was a union strike for about 15 months, and they cranked out very few horns in that period of time. Mine was one of them. And again, I was talking about some of the ergonomics. This is the pinky table here. Yes, it takes a little getting used to, all right? Not a problem over here, not so bad. But you wonder about this pinky table because, if you study up on Con, you come to learn that company had a research and development department. They actually had a lab where they had people who were very good at building saxophones, who were working and intent at that time on building the best saxophones in America. And you'd think they would have come up with something a little bit better than that. Of course, Selmer eventually did. The rest of the horn, not so bad. Your basic standard alto sax. It gives me everything I want, right? It's got a beautiful, sweet left-hand sound, which is so important when you get up to the top of the horn. It cuts the room. If I needed to cut the room, I can play with a trumpet or trombone player, and I don't need a microphone. This will cut the room. Or it will lay back. I can play subtones. I mean, this has simply been the best horn that I've ever had. The Con 6 and the letter M. And the keywork is lightning. I mean, it goes faster than I will. All right, the setup. I play, and I've tried a number of mouthpieces. I had a Meyer 7. I have a vintage. I still have it, and it doesn't speak as well as my Meyer 5 medium, 5 mm, right? And this one was just off the shelf from Allen's Music in La Mesa, California. Let's give them a shout out. And you might notice there's a screw missing in my setup here. I leave the bottom screw. I take the top screw out. And to my ear, this could be weird superstition, I don't know. But I think it allows the reed to vibrate. And I believe I can hear a difference, all right? Last night at the jam, I put on a D'Addario Select Jazz. This is a 2.5. I'm using a bunch of different reeds right now. D'Addario Select Jazz, filed and unfiled in the 2.5 strength. I've got Van Doren, the standard in the blue box. I'm using a number 2. The number 2. There's no governance over reed strengths, and so a Van Doren number 2 is really kind of plays more like a 2.5. So not all reed strengths are equal as you move across the different brands. Also got a box of Rico plastic covers. I suspect they're also called D'Addario now, but I know them as Rico plastic covers. I don't have any in front of me right here. But that is a freaking awesome reed that I've been using for years and years and years and years. Basically, it's a cane reed with a very light coating of plastic. I have a backup 5M, and it's a 5M star. They actually make a star, which is just a tad brighter. A little bit brighter than I normally like. The 5 really works with this horn. It speaks well with this horn. I've got a New York 6. I have the vintage 7. I have your 5 right here, and I have the 5 star. And the 5 medium, it just really speaks well with this horn. And that's, I think, the key is to find, a setup, mouthpiece, reed combo, all that stuff that really works together, and then just stick with it. Otherwise, you go crazy. Every time I see an ad, I think, oh, do I need that mouthpiece? Oh, do I need that? Oh, do I? I go through this stuff just like anybody else. But by the end of the day, I'm still blowing that Con 6M and the Meyer 5 mouthpiece. All right, next question. This is from Roger. How you doing, Roger? Good to hear from you. Roger says, when sight reading a chart and I have a solo with changes written out, what's my plan? He wants to know if I'm sight reading a chart and I see a solo coming up for alto sax and the changes are written out, right? What do I do? Roger tells us very humbly, he admits that he gets about 3 or 4 bars into a solo written, a chord change solo written out like that, and he goes off the rails. And I suspect that's not an uncommon situation, all right? So, Roger, you're in good company here. Now, with this caveat, I'm going to say that I think that Roger's talking about playing big bands. He's in maybe a community big band, like a big band jazz band in his area, and that the leader of the band might come in with charts. and might say, hey, this is brand new for you guys tonight. And there might not be a lot of time to go over it, certainly no time to practice that. And so, you're going to dive right into that. You see your solo coming in, you see those changes written out for you. And yeah, you can definitely go off the rails in a situation like that. How do you not go off the rails? Well, first of all, I don't play in big bands, so it'd be good to talk to somebody who does. And I know there are those among you out there in the 3,000 plus subscribers who do play in big bands. And so if you have comments or ideas that'll help Roger, please put them in the comments below. All right, what do? Well, I play in smaller combos, 3 to 5 piece combos. And we tend to know everything that we're going to play. Do we rehearse? No. But we're playing material that is not off the beaten path. And it's stuff that we know. I mean, my repertoire is large. I know a lot of songs. And we tend to all stick with what we have in that basic information pool. So it's going to be real rare. In fact, in a combo situation, I tend not to, unless it's a complete practice session. I tend not to play stuff. If I'm at a jam and I don't know the people and they call something I don't know, I'm going to lay out. All right. Yeah, because I get 3 or 4 bars in it like Roger and Trainwreck. So anyway, what's my plan? How would I help Roger out here? I would say that the heavy lifting starts before you sit down to play this music. The heavy lifting begins at home in your woodshed. And I know this isn't the answer that you wanted to hear, but how good are you at your triads? Can you You need to know at least, how about 5 of them? You need to know 5, and you need to know them really, really well. 5 chord progression, 5 arpeggios. And one is major, the other is minor, right? Major and minor. How many times have I said that? Major and minor. Dominant, you got to have your dominants dialed in. And how about augmented with the raised 5? And how about diminished, all right? Major, minor, dominant, augmented, and diminished. Or half diminished, as the case may be. That's the stuff that you really want to be tight on. You want to have that stuff down so that, what's 1 plus 1? 2. That's the answer. You want to be able to access those in your memory that quickly, okay? So that takes, work at home, and that's not as gratifying, but I'll tell you, it'll keep you from train wrecking when you get in, because when you're soloing with a big band, you want to play the changes. Now, Roger asked, would I go... If just say you dropped me into the situation, yeah, I would stick with the melody. If there is a melody that's identified, some big band charts kind of have, you wonder exactly what's going on. Do they have an obvious melody like "Fly Me to the Moon" or something like that? And they don't. They often don't. I've listened to a lot of big fat band recordings and Gordon Goodwin, and great stuff. But maybe can't quite figure out what would be the melody that I would follow. So, the next, best things to play the changes. And if I'm going to play the changes, yeah, I'm going to be really very good at doing those 5 that we talked about. I want to have those dialed in so that I can come up with those in any of the keys instantly. And generally, I mean, Roger, don't they give you a second to look over the chart before you guys dive in, or is it all masochism all the way? I don't know. Hey, I hope this helps out. Questions? If the rest of you have any questions, please put them in the comments below. I'll get back to you in the next week or so. I'll collect questions and put some answers up for you. And if those of you who are listening have any suggestions or any ideas that would help Roger in his quest to be able to play those solos in a sight reading situation, please help us out, okay? All right, that's all I got for you today. Thank you so much for submitting your questions. And Aitor, I'm sorry I slaughtered your name. All right, take care, be good to each other, play your horns, have fun. That's an order, and I'll see you again next time.